Hello, hello. Hey, Diginanigans. How's it going, everyone? We're back. Bit of a day late, but, you know, that happens sometimes. Couldn't stream yesterday for a combination of reasons, but happy to get back to it. We've been exploring some stuff to do with selections and overlays. And we're going to continue working on that because I'm not totally happy with it. And I tried a different method over the weekend, and we're going to try yet another method today. Hey, Ryson, how's it going? How'd BattleBots turn out? It was looking good last time I saw it. All right, so to kind of recap what we've been doing, we've been working on a selection overlay so that we can draw like a box or a combination of boxes or selected areas, basically. As you box select, as you like click drag across constructions. We've tried a few different approaches. Our initial approach was to basically put tiles before and behind the regular tiles, so we would draw ahead of them in the foreground and project back onto the other tiles for the foreground, and we would draw behind the regular tiles and project forward for the back lines. Unfortunately, that was not working with our Y sorting. Like, that just failed during Y sorting. Unfortunately, especially at the corners. Still got 3 days left in the jam. Oh shit, okay. You're struggling with a bit of burnout. I feel that. You feel like the combat is going to turn out to be crap? I mean, I certainly don't know about, you know, making jam games with good ideas that mechanically fall apart. I feel like that's par for the course. But I have faith that it'll come together. But yeah, I get the burnout. Yeah, Diginanigans, as much fun as jam games are, you don't think you could do more than a 3-day one while working your day job? Yeah, I tend to go very high risk, high reward with my jams. I do the 2 or 3 day jams, so either something comes together immediately, or I crash out and burn, as I did during Ludum Dare 57. I feel like for me, the pressure of doing like a 2-week jam, I would have a hard time, but yeah, that sounds like a lot. That sounds like you bit off a lot. 2 jams so close together. But I'm very excited for the game. I think it looks awesome, and I'm sure even if it doesn't get exactly to where you want it to by the end of the jam, I think it's got some. I think it's great. You can always pump it up a little bit afterwards. Do some post jam stuff on it. You know, after a long break, after you've taken a nice long break. Okay, so what I did over the weekend is I basically rewrote the grid tile map function. So I essentially abandoned what we were doing before, which was the draw 1 tile forward and project back, or 1 tile back and project forward. And I went back to just drawing over the specific tile. So we draw onto the same tile coordinate and we just draw over what was underneath it. And that mostly worked, except for one super important caveat. I also changed it so that it works on a per block basis. So it's not, we're not just taking a boundary, like a 3-dimensional volume, and just drawing lines around it like we were doing before. Now we're like actually altering the block mapping. Like we're adding, so like we would have a deck block or a bulk block or a door block. We also have a select block. So blocks know whether they're being selected or not. And that has a bunch of advantages. For one thing, we can support more than a single bounds. So instead of having just individual boxes or whatever, especially if they overlap, we can handle that really easily, which I think will help a lot with like shift clicking, where you're like, I want everyone in this room and I want everyone in this room to go over to this room. I think it will help a lot that it's just on a per block basis. It's definitely more work. Here's the problem that I didn't realize, because I basically rebuilt the system to work exactly like our regular auto tiler. And to just be one layer, not one layer higher, but to just render over it slightly. So the problem with attempting to do the selection stuff like this is that a selection box is semi-transparent. And it's actually like fully transparent. And we're not, I've made some modifications so that we're drawing the back walls or the back lines a little bit in some cases. But I'm unhappy with this because obviously it looks wrong. It's misbehaving in many ways. So I don't want to keep working on this iteration of it because you need a bunch of special cases to like say like, oh, don't draw this line, but do draw this line. Like you can see the back walls work a lot better than the front walls because there are all these rules that we need to add. So I want to change it again. I want to change our approach. I still like the doing a block by block selection, but instead of trying to render this white outline, it's gonna just place a variant of the same tile here. So if there's like a tile here and it's in this selection box, it's just gonna have like a slightly different colored version of it. So all of the tiles within this selection box will just be like tinted, I think. It'll be like a light gray tint or something like that. We'll have like a semi-transparent tinting. And part of that in my mind is about reducing the workload. So like, I don't want to have to draw separate outline sprites for anything. Like anything that could be selected would need an outline sprite or a selection sprite in the atlas. And I just want to be able to auto-generate them. So I want to be able to say like, if this is our grid, and this is all spaced poorly because I'm an idiot, but I want to be able to auto-generate a version of this that's like the outline version. And the initial version I had, it was literally just like an outline, but I want to do a version of this that is like more, like basically what we're going to do is we're going to take this, we're going to copy it over here. This is the right file, right? Yeah. So we'll take this layer, we'll copy it over to the grid layer. I might actually rename this to like select hall or something like that. And we're gonna just make it a version of this. The only real question is whether we treat this as a separate layer or it supersedes the initial auto tiling. That's the only question I have, is whether we try to do this as a semi-transparent layer that we draw over. So please draw over. Here we go. Take this. There we go. So we'll take like, so I'm thinking, I'm tempted to not do that because that is going to be a pain in the butt. To have like multiple semi-transparent layers being drawn over each other. I don't want to do that. So I'm tempted to just make this an additional layer of the initial like hull auto tiler, which is a bit of a regression, but I think it's something I can live with. So if the inner hull is this color, I want something even lighter. So it's this and this. So yeah, I think we're just gonna pick lighter colors and then change the black outline to a white outline. And I think that's gonna be our select hull. So we'll take this, go here, go one up, replace that, go one down, replace these, and then grab the light color. This isn't absolute white. I guess I want to use absolute white. What is this? Oh, this isn't absolute black either. Yeah, Yeah, this process is good because it also is robust in case we eventually decide to get rid of the outlines. So we're gonna export this here. We're gonna call it hull default select. I'm just gonna call it that for now because it's generated from the same file, which is what I want to do. But maybe we do treat it as a separate layer. I don't know. Because there's an argument to be made for doing this a little differently. For really, truly having it be like a semi-transparent layer that we put over it. I think there's a pretty strong argument to at least start out that way. And so if I wanted to do that, I would need to take this color, reduce the transparency here. Hillfort Games, rating with a party of 54 people. Oh my god, red alert. Hillfort Games. How is it going? Zote 009, Miss Blinky. Hi and hello. How's it going? How was your stream? Sup? Not much. We're working on a pretty annoying selection overlay for this auto tiling tool that we're working on. Oh, thank you for all the follows. Davros, JPN Slay, Zote 009, Mr. Zombie UK. Thank you all for the follow. I'm Digital Iliad. I'm Dave. We're working on an isometric 3D version of FTL faster than light. That's kind of our big inspiration. We're trying to do an isometric 3D kind of thing. I am a big fan of Hillfort Games and their 2.5D kind of aesthetic. I don't have the art chops, though this is all technically programmer art. The little image behind me is like kind of a style guide for like how I might want to draw like a bridge scene that I made. Name is Dave, instant follow. Love that. Love to see it. You populated some items, Hillfort. Nice. Space Game, instant follow. Oh man, we got multiple instant follows from JPN. We also got a follow from Miss Blinky, Rozzy the Bard. Thank you so much. Oh, the hydrate. Gotta respect the hydrate request here. All right, we are really just digging into a tool right now. Diginanigans, the way you're doing now feels like you're less likely to run into edge cases. Yeah, I'm hoping. He is dead. We're actually killing an old way. We've been doing an overlay and adding a new overlay, but let me show you some of the stuff we're working on in the tool. So, like you see here, we're kind of doing a pseudo 3D thing. So I've written this kind of custom isometric auto tiler that's kind of complicated. I'll show you a little bit of how it works. Hey, Bear Like Lion. How's it going? You got a raid and run, Hillfort? No worries. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for the raid. Welcome in, raiders. Looks like something from 1986, instant fallout. Thank you, Davros. Pixels, instant fallout. Man, this is a great crowd. It makes sense that the Hillfort crowd would like this art style. I love the kind of the art style that Hillfort's got. We're doing this in Godot. We don't have necessarily all the post-processing stuff. So here's my auto tiler. Oh, nice guy ND. Thank you for the follow. Skywalk, thank you for the follow. So we can lay out these layers. So let's make like a room here. This is like the top floor. So this would be like actually the ceiling. So let's make a room underneath here. Let me flip it around so I can correct an error I made. We can do lots of cool stuff. We can like rotate the camera. The outlining is all handled automatically for us. I'm going to flip it back around again. So we're going to hollow out this room. We'll make another room underneath it because that's kind of, the rooms are disappearing because we have this cutaway system that I'll show. So we got to add this floor back here. So we could add some doors if we want. Let's say we make like an airlock. This is all very bare bones in terms of art at the moment because we're still just kind of, we're literally gray boxing things here. But let's make like a little airlock. I think that seems like a cool thing. You have the Last Ninja projection rather than the usual 2-to-1 gradient. Yeah, Davros. It is it's 4-to-1, so it's like half. It's like it is technically diametric, not isometric. Bear-like Lion, you're doing great. You started your new job this week. You just deployed your first PR to prod on day 3. Wow. Let's not crash the prod. So let's add some doors here. So we're gonna go here, so we can add a door. We can add a door here as well. We can auto-tile the doors, so you can see the doors are auto-tiling. You can tell how many doors you have adjacent to each other, so we can go up to 3 doors. I've only drawn up to 3 doors, so we have like the triple door. Or we could go back down to 1 door if we want. We have a complex cutaway system to handle the visibility problem that a 4-to-1 aesthetic has, which is like it's hard to see into the space. This is kind of my initial attempt at handling this cutaway. I say initial. This is the first attempt that we're happy with. You also need to go. No worries, Zoe. Thank you. Making your own tools instead of cheating by just using a voxel editor. Nice. Yeah, thank you, Davros. Yeah, we're spending a long time on tools. Cool editor. Yeah, thank you. I hope so, because, yeah, we're spending a lot of time on it. So the plan is that, you know, we can build these big 3-dimensional ships. Like, we can just keep going. And they're pretty big, so, like, you can span the camera around. So this is probably going to be a slower paced game than FTL. It's probably going to be a little more RimWorld paced, like a little slower, a little more like a little more purposeful. It's a little hard to tell where you are in the space, so we're working on some overlays to fix that. But yeah, we have this camera cutaway system. The simulation is actually separate from the scene tree, so we can do things like rotate the camera, because what you're seeing is literally just a window into the simulation layer. So we can be very flexible and redraw basically the whole tile map. And by tile map, I mean like 7 times 8 tile maps. Because we use a bunch of layered tile maps to get this auto-tiling effect. But yeah. Skywalk, you could add some grid that cut where you add floors, dotted line, grid something to see where you are. Yeah, we need to add some stuff. I've started working on a selection outline, which is what we're working on today, is we're working on adding a selection overlay so that when you box out an area, you can see what you're boxing out. I tried to do this kind of transparent outline thing, but I'm very unhappy with it. So we're going to redo it as tinting instead of this horrible line work thing that doesn't work right. We're going to redo it as like a tinting of the area. And yeah, we could probably do some cutaway dotted line stuff too. We have a lot of flexibility with our auto tiler in terms of what we can do. We just need to build it out. So my 2 choices here are to try to add the selection layer as a tinting on top of the hull, or as a replacement for the hull. So we'd have a variation of each sprite. That would be the selected version. I'm tempted to try that. But yeah, I think some kind of dotted thing to help with the cutaway is something we need, because it's a little disorienting right now. For sure, it is disorienting. Yeah, when we got rated, I was tinting a new sprite sheet that we were going to try as the basis for our selection variant here. I eventually want a system that can just be auto-generated. So you can take something like our door sprite. Let me grab it. Let me find it. So we take something like the triple door here. So you take something like our door, and we can just, because I don't want to have to draw this. This is already so many layers, right? So we don't want to have to draw this again. We just need something that can flip the black outlines to be white, and maybe either add a semi-transparent layer on top of this, or kind of just tint it a certain way so that it looks like a selection. We could honestly just do outlining. I'm a little concerned about tinting. There's a reason why I feel like we need it that'll become apparent once we're actually doing it, but yeah. We have pretty big ramps, so we have the space to do tinting. Mr. Zombie UK, the YouTube algorithm God sent you how to tile in isometric, and then you land in here. Oh, awesome. Yeah, auto tiling in isometric is not easy. We have a very complex custom one. I can show you a little of how it's at least configured. So we have like a level. So each of the levels is like this picture here is like the bridge level, and it's made up of all these things. And all of the hull pieces are blocks, so they're like cubic blocks or variants on that. You can get kind of complicated with it. And then what we're doing there is we basically break it up. So each level, so here are all the levels. Right now I support up to 8 levels, like 8 stacked decks. And then each of those levels has a bunch of tile map layers. And we split the tile map layers up into each face. So the deck is like the floor plate. The bulk is like the wall above it. And each face has its own tile map layer. And that allows us to do auto tiling, like handling the outlining and all that stuff. Because if we don't have that, we run into this insane problem where, let me find the insane problem here. Sort by name, get the export. You can end up having, so here's all of the, here's the combinatorics of the outlining for just the floor and the wall. So if you start here with just this, like, here's the wall piece, this top part, here's the floor piece. So if you start removing outlines because, like, let's say you have another block here, so you want to erase this black outline. You have another block here, so you want to erase this black outline. So if you keep combinatorically at it going through this here, you eventually end up with something like this. And so to make it simpler, this is the combinatorics of the whole block, of like the entire cube for one viewpoint. So to avoid this, we're doing it on a per face basis. Oh, this is not how I wanted to start this. I've gotten too excited about the in editor window. So you can see as we like expand this floor, it handles the auto tiling for us specifically. And we can do the same thing with these walls where we can, it also kind of changes the color. So it changes the sprite because it knows when we're talking about walls that are touching versus ones that are not. So it can tell that these walls touch, so that if you then, you know, cut away, you see this dark gray color, which is us distinguishing between, you know, tiles that touch versus tiles that don't. Or I don't know what the right word is for it, but basically you can distinguish between, when you're using the cutaway system here, you can distinguish between walls, rooms. We can put some doors in here. So we can put a triple door here. So yeah, I had to come up with kind of my own custom isometric auto tiler to be able to render this kind of presentation that I wanted. It has some major challenges to it for sure. Yeah. That we're working through. But I'm pretty pleased with it. I think it's a pretty good baseline. I'm pretty pleased with the fact that we can just start turning it around. And it will just redraw the whole thing. Because it just recalculates what everything should look like based on a per face basis. And it's only concerned with the 3 faces that are visible to us. Which is part of the reason why we're going to move away from this transparent outline selection thing, is because this is actually, we can't just render the 3 faces near to us. We also have to, if we do it this way, we also have to render the lines in the back, which is not what I want to do. So we're reworking this. As I said before, it's really broken. You can kind of see all sorts of stuff happening over there. Diginanigans, sorry for missing. Your message here over on YouTube. If outlines are always black, can you do a simple shader to make black pixels white, then increase the brightness on any non-black pixel by a bit? Would mean you don't need to duplicate every tile with an outline version. That's a good point, Diginanigans. We could do this with shaders. I wasn't gonna do it with shaders because I had ideas. About how we were going to do this as a separate layer, but if we're going to do it in the same layer, that's a good idea, honestly. The only thing about that is we need to make that information available to the shader, and that is a little trickier. I would need to dig more into shaders for tile maps to understand if that's truly an option. So for now, I'm tempted to just use substitute the tile cell with like a variant of it that we could theoretically generate. But yeah, shaders might be ultimately the way we go. Lurk, no worries. Thank you, Mr. Zombie UK. Really appreciate it. Appreciate the raid. Appreciate the lurk. Appreciate anyone who's hanging out with us today. Yeah, I do want to avoid duplicating every tile with an outline version. I'm hoping that we could do that automatically at some point. But yeah, it would be, because that's how we're doing outlines for characters, for like crew members. Let me see if this even works still. But if I opened the crew, if I went and found the crew, like a crew member, I'm a little concerned that I broke this recently. But if we get a crew member here, so our little crew duder, and in theory, yeah, so our little crew member has an outline shader set up for it. So let's not do the idle, let's do the run. So if our little duder is running, we can just hop on the outline shader and it's not doing any tinting. It's just outlining. And this could be a great option. Doing this sort of thing for the tiles. It's a little more involved because it's not an independent sprite. It's just a tile cell in a tile map. I'm a little concerned about the consequences of trying to shade on a per tile basis instead of just using a different cell or using a different, atlas chord, like doing a different piece of the sprite atlas. So I should research that a little more, and that might actually be a viable long-term solution. Should be great. Oh, I don't want to run backwards. Screen Sam, thank you for the follow. I thought I saw something here. Appreciate that. Diginanigans. Yeah, they do the tiles for now as it is the quickest to test and iterate. Then you could always swap to shaders after if it makes sense. Yeah. I think that's a good initial approach. I want to do it in a way that's as little art asset heavy as possible. So obviously mocking it up now, there is a cost, but it's a pretty negligible cost. Don't save. All right. So if we do this like this, is it easier to continue using a second pass? I think we want to use a second pass for now because our selection process is different when we're in edit mode versus when we're in play mode. Like when we're in edit mode, if I grab a big chunk of floor and wall or whatever, and I select it, and I let up, like I release the click, I want all of the floors and walls and stuff to be highlight as selected, because I could move that. I could like click drag it and start moving the floor around if I'm in edit mode. If I'm in play mode and you do a box select and you release the click, you would only want interactables to remain selected. So like computer consoles maybe, or actually more likely you'd probably just want crew members to be selected. Stuff that you can interact with, you would want to remain selected and move. So it'd pretty much just be crew members probably. Or maybe cargo or something, I don't know. Depending on how we have the tasking system work. So you'd want that to work differently in edit mode versus play mode. So if it's a separate pass, we can have that different rule. Or if it's the same pass, we have to evaluate what the game state is while we're executing the path, which is not amazing. I mean, I guess it's we could inline it such that we're making that check when it matters, and then we're forking the function from there. Or maybe we just call a different function. So, unfortunate thing is all of the grid outline code that I already wrote is basically not helpful. It's a little helpful. It's a little helpful. I actually kind of see this. I see the split here. We want to do something different than the underlying sprite. So here we have this grid that lets us choose which outline set we need based on neighboring tiles and their hull types. But if we're talking about the outline version, we actually want these white outlines to be based on the selection area. So we're going to be picking a different atlas coord than we would normally. So it is a separate pass because it's going to use separate logic. The question is whether it's this gray box thing. I guess for now it can just be a gray box because we don't have anything complicated going on, and it doesn't need to be semi-transparent. In which case it could literally overwrite the auto tiler, like what the auto tiler is currently drawing. We could have just a branch of like, if this tile is selected, use this different logic for determining what tile to pick, versus if this block is not selected. Then we could go into the traditional selection process. I'm tempted to do that just so we don't have like double the number of tile map layers we're processing. I think for now I would prefer to not have that. That does mean changing a lot of stuff to get running though. Skywalk, it could be a selector. Click entity and it select crews. Click usable and it selects things you can use or something. Yeah, there's that. Since this is FTL based, really all you're going to be doing is directing crew members around, but there could be an exception. So like you could probably select a door and then say you either want to lock or unlock the door. So it might not just be crew members. It might be something that you can overwrite. So like maybe you need to lock down a computer console. So you can like grab a console and like, but maybe you can't do that yourself. Maybe if you say, I want to lock this door, I don't know. Some stuff you should be able to do yourself because you're the captain and you're like part of the ship. You're this kind of hybrid machine person thing. You're not just like a regular human, but you have this human crew that runs around and does your bidding. Whereas you more embody the actual ship itself. So it makes sense that some stuff you should be able to do directly, and then other stuff you need to select a crew member and then tell the crew member to do something. Ginseng T, thank you so much for the follow. This is awesome. This is an awesome morning for follows. People, I love the Hillfort gang. The Hillfort Games gang. I do lurk amongst you much of the time. I like watching Hillfort when I'm working in the morning. Yeah. We don't really need to worry about the implications of play mode selection. I just want to, because right now we're only working on edit mode. We kind of have a roadmap for what we're working on at the moment. Can you shout out Hillfort? Oh yeah, you didn't come over, Skywalk? I should have shouted out Hillfort earlier. They raided us a little while ago and brought us the vast majority of the viewers we have in here right now. I'm going to spell their name wrong. There we go, Hillfort Games. They're doing some really great stuff. They're working on a 2.5D zombie game in Unity, I believe. Really cool art style. Kind of similar to me in that it's like very low res, but it's not as low res as me. But they're a real artist. They're like a legit AAA senior artist. And their art is incredible. Hillfort Games. Let me see if I can see their stuff real quick. Do they have their zombie game wrist? Long Gone is what they're working on right now. Isn't this cool? You came from Killfort, you just didn't know the name? Yeah, no worries. But yeah, this looks really cool. I really dig their art style. And I'm really inspired by their kind of 2.5D. They're the ones who taught me that Blockbench existed. When I started watching them, and they were switching their art over to Blockbench, which is like a basic like 3D art tool, and I really like it. I want to try Blockbench for making low res 3D assets at some point. That's very cool. Very excited about their project. All right, so this is where the rubber meets the road. We either overwrite. What's the debugger yelling at me about? Huh. digame.peak state? Huh. I don't know how we got an out of range argument for that, but okay. So we either totally rewrite our main auto tiler code, not what I want to do, or we have a second pass that does the selection stuff, which is what I'm tempted to do for right now as an alternative. All right, let's finish this. I was recoloring this because we need to do the recolor. I was applying. I was trying to apply. So we want it to be like this. We want this to be semi-transparent. Which I can't seem to do. I'm not sure. I might be in the wrong color mode. Run an indexed color mode. Oh, so I literally can't use colors that don't exist. I think for now, we're going to switch to an RGB color mode, which I'm sure I will remember to change back, and I won't regret I won't regret or forget. That's a lie. I will both regret and forget switching to an RGB color mode from indexed here. So let's just take this color and let's like drop the alpha like significantly. Did that work? That still didn't work. What the hell is happening here? Okay, we're in RGB color. Cancel. So we'll drop this here. Oh, that's why. Still isn't working. I don't totally understand why this isn't working. I just want to drop the alpha. Pick color plus alpha. Yeah. Can I drop the alpha here? I'm not the best at this tool. Can I just draw? What happens when I try to draw? Okay, so I'm unable to make any changes to this layer for some reason. It's not locked. Oh no, maybe I am able to make changes. All right, now we're back to indexed color mode. We're not going to worry about the semi-transparency thing, because I actually think in the long run we want to do the thing DIGITAL suggested, where we switch to a shader model. So where we're shading the selection instead. I feel like that'll be better in the long run. But for now, let's just do this. So we'll take this. We've already got our export, I think, somewhere in here. Okay, I don't know if I love this music. All right, and we're going to continue to have this be a second pass just for testability. We are going to need to add to the grid level, we're going to need to add a door layer. So we need to duplicate this. And in fact, yeah, let's actually just do it this way. So we're going to add a door layer. This should match up with what we've got going on here with hull layer, door layer. Ordering is the same. Okay. So we're going to do that. We're going to go here, and we were treating the grids and the hulls separately, but I think it's very clear that we're heading into the direction where we actually don't treat these things as separately at all. But for right now, we're going to continue to do so that if we get rated, I can show how our tool works and the whole thing isn't broken. I'm very hesitant to break this project in such a way where none of it works, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know when Hillfort's going to raid you with like 50 people. And it'd be a shame to be like, I would love to show you all what I'm working on, but I broke it. I broke it 10 minutes ago. All right, so we're going to forget all of this code pretty much. We're going to model our approach based on... So can I have... So instead of hull.outer or hull. No, I don't want to do it that way. I want to skip the hull part. But we do want to model it like this. We want to basically take this part. Basically use this. We're going to use similar logic, so none of this logic is going to be retained, really. We could probably adapt what we have here, actually, and it will probably be less painful to try to rewrite this. What we do need to rewrite, though, because we're using a different... So right now we have a different... Oh no, we're using the same thing. I just need to swap the assets here. Unfortunate thing, I don't think you can just swap... Oh, we could just treat doors as bulks, huh? No, I don't want to do that. For now, this process isn't going to work with doors. We're going to do an experiment, and we're going to ignore doors for now. We're going to do a doorless version of this experiment. Actually, we could probably use the assets we already have. It will look wrong, though, won't it? So So let's swap this art out. Texture. Actually, I think it's gonna remember all the details if I swap this art out. So we're gonna replace it with all default select. No, don't overwrite my stuff, please. Yeah, okay, this is working great. Can I quick load this? All default select. Okay, so we have this set up. The thing is, we need to change this logic. So right now this logic is attempting to draw the whole box. What we want it to do is we want it to only draw over regular hull tiles. So we could do that. Oh, can we actually just hulls.keys, cutaways.contain. Oh yeah, we want to read the cutaways. We want to base this on the cutaways. So, can we just go based off of the tiles? So we already have all the auto tile data figured out. So this is the tiles dictionary here. This is all of the tiles that we need to push back to the tile map layers. So we have all of this information already. I could just, for any one of these, go through, check if it's a selected, and then start checking its neighbors. And that will give us the information we need as far as whether we need to draw the selection overlay. Let's start doing it this way. So we're going to say grids.clear. We're going to replace all of these instances of tiles with grids. In fact, I probably should just delete this and start over, but I am loath to do that. Because I think this process is largely... No, this isn't actually the process we want to use. What we want to do... Yeah, because the tiles are already in relative space. So we actually are going to just say, go up here. We're going to borrow the logic from this section. We're going to borrow this second pass, and then we're going to adapt this second pass to our current purposes. We are going to currently leave out doors. So we're going to ignore doors for now. Oops. So we'll throw this in here. We'll add case. We will add case tile.layers.door. We're just going to skip that case. Actually, we could just have, and then we'll have another default case. We'll borrow the default case. Because, yeah, the doors are complicated, and that'll involve a little more work to set up. And I don't want to do that until we know that this is the approach we want to use. Okay, so that's that. And then after that, you do this. Why are you broken? How many lines of code that editor? Currently, it's this many. It's a couple thousand. Does it need to be a couple thousand? No. We could probably cut this down a lot. I'm doing some things up here. Looks huge. Yeah, it's unnecessarily huge, and I'm doing it for clarity and maintainability right now. So, like, I explained how we've broken out each face of each block into a layer. And right now, we're iterating through each layer separately. So we have, like, here's tile map layer 0, deck layer X, tile map layer 1, deck layer Y, tile map layer 2, deck layer Z. So right now we're redoing this iteration each time for each layer. And that's just to simplify the code, because I could collapse this all. I could roll this all up into a single loop. But then we need to do a bunch of branching logic instead of just saying, are we interested in this? And then just continue. So this is inefficient, but it's very clear what's happening here. And it's very clear how the logic is split up. And it still gets kind of complicated. Like you can kind of see later when we get to doors. Doors are like, this is just the door. So if we rolled this all up into a single loop, it would be so hard to manage all of this. Because this is all the logic for the doors. The door logic itself is like a couple hundred lines of code. It's even more down here when we get to the coordinate stuff. Somewhere. I don't know where the door stuff went. So, hey, Anonymous Productions. Is this GD script? No. So this project is actually split. We do have GD script code. So over here we have like an input handler and like some stuff to handle the tile map layers. So the tile map layers has its own code, like how to unpack tile map data and stuff. So we've split our game's code base into two different sections. Part of it's in GD script and part of it's in C#. And it's because we have a simulation layer that exists in .NET. It's like, I take in the input, it's processed in the .NET world, which has a bunch of very lightweight simulation objects, so that not everything has to be a node or a resource or whatever in the scene tree. And then we send back only the information needed for rendering and UI stuff. So it cuts down a lot on the amount of stuff that we're putting into the scene tree. So we're kind of doing both. We kind of have both GD script and C#. When I'm in here, when I'm in Writer, we're doing C#. And when I'm in Godot, we're doing GD script. Why I'm using C#? There's no good answer except that I'm very familiar with C#. And I'm not very familiar with C++. But I should have done this in C++ would be my short answer. All right. All right, so we're gonna hide all our older code here, because we don't need it right now. This is the old way we did it. We can get rid of all of this. That would be great. Hey, Fusionist, how's it going? How was your weekend? All right, so we're adapting this code for our purpose, which is we're just going to go through each tile. So instead of halls, we're going to go through tiles. So we're going to say tile for each key in tiles.keys. Then we're going to say tile is tiles key. We don't care about halls, so we're gonna skip all this hall stuff. What we do care about is tiles, so we're gonna rename these tiles, I think. I think we still need to use these lookups. I just don't think we're not caring about the specific type of hall right now. Chilling weekend was nice. You visited your grandma. Sick. We are working on changing the fundamental way that our little selection overlay was working. We're bringing it much more in line to how the rest of the auto tiler works. We were trying to do it as like this, let's outline the bounds of like the selection box. And then I realized what I actually wanted to do was to just apply a tint and some outlining to the actual tiles that are being drawn. Not just like, here's your selection box, but like, oh, you're trying to select a section of the floor. Let's tint the floor. Just the part of the floor that you're like trying to to do. And it's a little more complicated than that because we also have to outline the tinted area. But we're kind of changing our approach to the outlining, and I'm pretty pleased with it. Ryson, feels nice to remove unnecessary code. It always does. It always does. I'm always fighting the battle of like premature optimization. So like I want to write it as simply and smoothly and efficiently. I love the elegance of like a nice tight loop. But early on, when you're especially when you're experimenting, that's the wrong approach. I think. I prefer the thing that I showed up here, which is like less efficient, and we'll probably eventually roll this up once the behavior is mature enough. But like I would rather just roll out all these loops. Just unroll all the loops into the actual behavior for each section. That way if I need to change something, I don't have all of this behavior like in this insane branch of conditionals or whatever. So I'm fine to be, for now, I'm fine to have a bunch of unnecessary code. Don't judge me. Meet goal, optimize, repeat. There you go, Fusionist. That's probably that's a much more succinct way of saying it. You fall into the same traps, yeah. We can't start at the end result, right? No matter how much we want to. If it works, it works. This is the way. Yeah. But it could work better. Skywalk. Making sure you understand. It sounds like you understand better than me, Fusionist. All right, we have ads starting. Don't worry, I'm not going to do anything particularly interesting. We're going to go through this. So we have a switch statement, and we're going to look at the tile layer of the tile that we pulled, and we're going to kind of the same, similarly to the way that the above works, we're going to evaluate each tile layer type separately, and we're going to check the neighbors of that tile, and then that is going to control the atlas coords that we use. So this should be very similar to the stuff above, and we shouldn't need to modify it too much. So the first thing we need to modify, so deck X. So if hull is a middle hull and not cutaways. So if this is a middle hull tile and it's not being cut away, and the block to the right of it is not being cut away, continue. This is correct. So we wanna say here, so instead of hull, oh shoot, do we actually need to like reference the hulls? No, we don't, because if we continued, we would never even get to this. We would never even get to this tile. This tile wouldn't exist if this was true. So we can actually eliminate this entire line. I'm going to comment it out, but we can theoretically eliminate the whole line. Skywalk, you don't know. You see tons of programmers wasting tons of hours and hours refactoring the same code until they're happy with how it reads. The code refactored accomplishes the same exact thing it did before when they could have spent more hours making new stuff. Yeah, there's so much code that's not performance intensive, in which case just don't worry about it, right? Source ID is going to be 0. So instead of whatever this is, it's going to just be 0. If hulls dot, oh, hold on, we don't have hulls. Oh, we do have hulls. We need to be careful not to refer to it. If tiles dot try get value, key with W is bulk X out bulk. Okay. So let's do this first. Let's replace all the reference to hulls with the references to tiles. That's the first thing to do here. And I know I could do this more easily, but it's a small amount of, it's a relatively small number of references, and I would rather just do it. Here's an area where I don't optimize my workflow. My workflow is not very good, usually. This is just going to be 2. Riggedy Renect. Woo! You got your Twitch account back. Nice. What do you do? Did you get hacked or did you get banned? Fusionist. It really depends on what the refactoring's objective was, though. I agree. Like, part of the reason why I've written my code above a certain way is more for readability than it is for performance. Skywalk, you just don't care about the concept of clean code. Feels more like an excuse to say, sorry, your reading of code is bad, hence you need to rewrite this the most clear way possible. Since you watched this video about is clear coding even good, and you showed that most of the time it isn't, so yeah, you're probably describing Casey Meritori's video on clean code. Yeah, I'm not a clean code evangelist. I believe in the idea behind clean code. And I've heard Uncle Bob talk about it in ways that are way more agreeable, where it's a lot less dogmatic. It's one of those things where it's like, I think the impulse behind it is correct, but the problem is with anything is when people just have a dogmatic interpretation, it's busted. Like, it's the dogmatic interpretation of something reasonable that ends up getting you in trouble, right? Oh, it's Ryson. You changed phones. Cool. That's awesome. Welcome to the Twitch side. Are you getting lonely on the YouTube side? The chat tends to be livelier on the Twitch side until it isn't. All right, let's set these. So we're commenting out this whole thing because we don't need to worry about it. We're hard coding the source IDs because we still don't need to worry about the hull. We're adapting this code from above where the hull matters a lot. And at this phase, the hull doesn't matter at all. And eventually this code will probably be rolled together unless we switch to a shader. But for right now, for modularity and readability, we are going to duplicate some of this behavior here. Do you not do this because it's the Z layer? Or did I just delete you? Let's go check. So Ronery. Bulk X, bulk Y, bulk C. Oh, you literally don't do this check when you're doing bulk C. I guess that makes sense. It's, that doesn't sound right, but it behaves right. So let's not question it. Oh, we needed to copy over the remainder of the code. This part. Why is this code unreachable? Oh, because there isn't a terminating switch statement. Okay. How's everyone doing? I didn't realize my cup is matching my sweater. Look how, like, so coordinated I am. How's everyone doing today? Let's deal with all these errors. So we don't reference the hull anymore. So we're referencing out the tile. If bulk is equal to I see. Oh, so here we're comparing the hull type to the tile type. That's not what we want to do. So what we want to do is we want to say, if we're evaluating the deck X, we need something like if tile.forms, oh, that doesn't even make sense. If tile.layer is equal to, oh, If tiles, try get value, out bulk. Oh, we don't even need to do a conditional statement here. If we get something out, because we're already checking the tile layer with this W thing. If we get anything at all here, what are we actually doing? I need some of the block information at this point. I need to know about the select. Eep. Rig? Is that still you, Ryson? All right, I ran into a slight problem here, because normally we would just check the hull type. But unless I want to set the hull type to be select, I need to do something else. So we need to check for selected blocks. So to do that at this phase of the process, the easiest thing to do would be to so what we should do, we can use the coords, the XYZ coords. So we can say, so let's say block. I don't know if we need to do this cutaway contains continue. We do not, I don't think. But what we can do here is we can say block equals block buffer dot get index key dot xyz, and we would say read only span block buffer dot get index key dot xyz. Okay, so now we have the block, which we need to reference because we need to know whether this block is selected. So what we can say here is we can say if block, if not block dot has block dot forms dot select, then we just continue. So that's our check. So now we know as long as the current block is selected. So that's all we're processing here, is we're overriding the tile for blocks that were selected. So that should be simple. Because we're running this after the hull stuff, we can skip a bunch of other checks. So now we say if tiles.tryGetValue key with W equals bulk. So we're checking the bulk here. If that's true. Okay, this is all correct because a bulk, if a deck is selected, the bulk is also selected. Thank you for the follow, Rig. Appreciate that. This has been a good day for follows. We've gotten like 11 of them in the last hour in 15 minutes. That's great for me. for my life as a little tiny streamer here. It's again, big thanks to the Hillfort Games community here for believing in this little project and being interested in its development. All right, so now let's move on. So this is the part where we pick, so we're manipulating the Atlas chords here, and the Atlas chords is what tells us whether we, like which of these we want. I'm gonna pick a better color so that you can actually see it. So this is where we pick whether, you know, we need these outlines or these outlines or these outlines. And we do that by checking our neighboring tiles. And we can do a couple of really easy checks here. So we can use the check that's already built in. And then the additional check is simply, I'm going to actually add this back up. It's simply if adge up dot has block dot forms dot select. Oh, I spelled edge up wrong. Adjacent up. Are you not a... Oh, you're a tile. Oh, oh. Oh, so we don't even need to do this try get value, huh? Do we want to do a block check instead? It's probably easier to try to check here. What information does the tile have that would potentially let us know whether it's been selected? I think the answer is none. There's nothing in here that would tell us whether it's been selected or not. This is why I'm tempted to roll this all into one process, where we either render the normal version or we render the selected version, rather than try to overlay this thing. Because that will be easier. This is going to be awkward, because now we need to refer back to some other information. Because we basically simplify the information as we go down. Because the block is the entire 3D space. And that includes like a bulk and a deck, potentially. And that's the block. That's like the 3D section. And then we're breaking this down to tiles, and each tile is just one face of one of those things. So it's maybe the X face of the deck, or the Z face of a bulk, or something like that. So for our purposes, we need to refer back to that overall block, because that's what has information about whether it's selected or not. And that's a little awkward, but that's okay. So what we really need to do here is we need to say we need to do a block check, and we need to check the tiles. So we need to say if tiles try get value this. We actually don't need to get the out though. So we can just discard the out. We should probably do this first, because this is easier, and then here we can say, here we can do this other check. So we can say if read-only span block buffer dot get index key dot xyz plus vector 3i dot down. Oh, shoot. Now we're dealing with the difference between relative and absolute coordinates. Yeah, I really don't want to do it like this. Maybe we are gonna shunt this into the regular auto tiler. Let me go up and see if that's actually gonna be easier for us to do. But how would that be easier for us to do would be my question. So if we look here, if we look at like a regular block here, because it doesn't need to render all of it. So let's say, so we say, okay, so if this doesn't have a deck, we don't care. We could add a branch here. So where would we do this thing? Maybe this is the type of hull we want to know about. No, we want both of this information. We want the middle part, and we want to know about whether it's select or not. The shader is not really the option for us because of the outlining stuff that we want to do. If we were happy to not do any outlining and to just do a tinting, this would be a lot easier, but I really want to do outlining. Maybe I should abandon that. Man, it would be easier to just do this as a shader, huh? Because here we're doing an initial step where we're figuring out the hull type of the block. You know, I could also, at this phase, do like a select thing. I could just specify whether this is selected or not. Maybe there's an easier option here. So if read-only span, so we're checking a bunch of neighbors out in this case, which is not great. So maybe we do this. Maybe we specify like block. We could say pos x. Or we could say adjacent x. So I could reuse these. Instead of having these be tiles, they could be blocks. So we could have these be blocks. Maybe it's easier to just pull these all up here and then use them as needed. So we could say oh, I know what we want to do. I want to do this. I've already written this. I just need to use it. We want this. So we can just put this here. And in fact, we can get rid of the word block. I'm going to leave it. Oh, I need the positions. I actually need all of this. So we're starting with a relative position, which is up here. So our relative position is just key.xyz is actually what it is. I make that explicit so that's easier to understand. Maybe not. All right, so we get this relative position, which is the key XYZ. We get it into absolute space so it's view independent, because we can rotate our camera. So when we're talking about what we're rendering, we're always camera relative. But when we're referencing something like the block space, we need to get it back into absolute so that or world space or whatever you want to call it. I like thinking of it as relative versus absolute. That's just what's helpful to me. Okay, so we have all of this block information. I think we can still use. It's a little overkill to be doing all of this now, but at least we do it once and we don't care anymore. And then so what we're saying here, so instead of this if tiles try get value thing, we can just say we can actually just ask our block. We can just say if block.has block.layers block.forms bulk. Hey, still needs work. How's it going? How was your weekend? All right, so I think we're in a better position to do this. I think we can also make this a little easier to read. At least easier for me to read. So instead of these try get value checks, we're going to just instead say if, so vector 3i dot down, so that would be negative y. So we can say if negative y block dot has. Oh, if we want to know if block dot, yeah, okay. If this has block dot forms dot select, and we do this. Okay, we can go through this. This should be relatively easy. How are you doing today? Pretty great. We had this great raid from Hillfort Games, so we've had a great stream. A lot of people pop in. And hang around, which is always shocking when people hang around. All right, so what's this? If tiles.tryGetValue key with z equals key.z plus 1. And so if this is a bulk tile, okay, so we want to know if it's a... We want to know if there is a block below us and it happens to be a bulk. Okay, that's easy. So we say if... So instead of this, we ask if pos z block dot has block dot forms dot select or, and this is, you know, bitwise or, so we want both. I have a has any. I should probably also have a has all. Although actually has is equivalent to has all, isn't it? Has just as implicitly a has all. Okay. Yeah, has any is different. Has any is a little bit different. It's a good stream. Yeah. Thank you. We get stuck on stuff a lot, but We just keep going. If we have anything going for us, it's our persistence. All right. I want to put the alt tile first. And I want to rename this Atlas Chords. ATL chords, Atlanta chords. So we have our source tile ID, our alt tile ID. I'm gonna put this up here. All right, so this is what our each case is gonna look like. All right. It's getting late in the stream, but I think we have time to do all of this, which is to just rewrite this basic set of code here using these. Does this behavior ever really change? I guess I have to just note. Just have to note a couple of things. Source tile ID is 0. Alt tile ID is 1. Instead of this nonsense, we basically have this stuff. This is the same, isn't it? What's different about this? So instead of checking negative y and positive y, we are checking negative x and positive x. Otherwise, this is identical. So what we can do is we can just copy this over. And then just flip the coordinate here. All right, and then the Z here works a little different. So the source tile ID is 1. The alt tile ID. Stop. Equals 0. Okay, so now we're checking left, right, down, and up. Actually, we don't care about this second check of whether it's a bulk or not. We actually only care about the selection. The only one we care about is whether there's a bulk form on our own block. That's an important distinction. Do I already have some of this behavior written down here? I kind of do, but it's a lot more hacked together. Yeah, this feels cleaner. So here we're going to check if positive or if negative x block dot has block dot forms dot select. Then we do this. Is this part the same? I think this is the same. I know what I'm doing. It's incredible. Not to be believed. Has anyone been playing Blueprints? No spoilers. I've been playing it. It's incredible. I've already started filling a notebook. It's a really nice game at the end of the night. You do like one or two runs into this house. Incredible game. No spoilers. Yeah, if you have Game Pass, I recommend. Even if you don't, I recommend. But I'm playing it. I say for free, but I pay for Game Pass. All right, so do these work the same? So we're changing the X a lot and the Y very much not at all. This isn't quite right, is it? Let me look at the way this works. Okay, that's the Y. Missed a quick modification here that is important. Shenanigans, you're looking forward to checking out Expedition 33 when it comes out in a few hours? I've not heard of that. What is that? Expedition 33. Claire Obscure. Obscure. Claire Obscure. Expedition 33. What's this about? This looks cool. Looking very Elden Rings. Is it a Souls-like? Lead the members of Oh, hold on. Lead the members of Expedition 33 on their quest to destroy the Paintress. The Paintress. So that she can never paint death again. Explore a world of wonders inspired by Belle Epoque, France. Oh, is this like based on a world? Battle unique enemies in this. Ooh, turn-based RPG with real-time mechanics. Turn-based RPG with real-time mechanics. That just screams Sea of Stars to me. Only 1 year left to live. Okay, this looks cool. This looks very, this is giving very, like, Final Fantasy mixed with, like, Elden Ring. Cool. This looks big. I don't know how I haven't heard about this before. This looks huge. Sick. It's kind of a JRPG, but with parry mechanics and stuff thrown in. Yeah, Sea of Stars did the same thing. Where it's like a turn-based RPG, but you gotta, like, block when someone attacks, so you gotta be on it. Or you gotta like parry or whatever, block or parry. It was cool. It definitely adds more interactivity to a game type that often does not have enough. All right, let's finish this behavior here. So if block.forms, so if block.form, if block.has block.forms.deck, then we do this. Yeah, but not X, we change Y. And we change it by +1. So that's that. And we say, so now we're checking the vector3i dot down. We go x plus 1, x plus 2. We're basically grabbing this stuff again. And then here we're checking negative z block. Plus 2. I'm sure I'm missing something here. Shenanigans, you've been following it for a month now. Looks pretty cool. Early reviews says it's really solid from a gameplay and mechanic point of view. Looks immersive, just a bit lacking in story and character development. Oh, that's surprising. I just started watching an anime which has a very similar premise in that, like, everyone is about to die, so they're, like, looking for someone who, like, potentially holds the cure. It's, like, very Cowboy Bebop-esque. I don't remember what the title was. But it was, like, very similar in setup. I don't remember what it was called. I just had it on in the background on Netflix over the weekend. All right, bulk Y is 2, alt tile 1. All right, and now it's just the opposite of this. 1, 2, 2. Instead of Y, it's X. All right, just the last one here. 1, 2, 1, 2. I think it works exactly the same as this. I'll be interested to see if we've got this set up here, right? What did I just do? I love when you just hit a key and, like, the whole screen changes on you. Source ID equals 3. Source tile ID. I could change this to just be source. No, I guess I can't. There's no 5-letter version of alt. I know, alt ID, source ID. And I could just call this Atlas instead of Atlas Cowards. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I wonder if this will work. It almost certainly won't, at least not initially. Oh, there's an error somewhere. Where's this error? Show me the error. Oh. Missing semicolon like a newbie here. Crash. Tile map, expected format ID lower or equal to 0. Fascinating. What? Set tile map data from array. Tilemap layer.cpp. Okay, so the format's being misconfigured. Oh, key. Hold on. I need to actually set the key correctly for this. Oh, no, I don't. Tile.layer is the key. Key. Tiles. Grids. Oh, hold on a second. Grids, key. I actually need to specify the array. I need to say grids. And then down here, let's hide all this bullshit. Here I need to say dictionary. Vector 4i. Tile. Tiles. Tiles. Why are you unhappy with me? Oh. Not a Godot dictionary, damn it. System.dictionary. What? What are these called? Yeah, why can't we just... What? Oh, I formatted it wrong. Now I can't find it. Here we go. Which is good. We probably should not be referring to member variables here. Could this be static now? Sick. Probably will be. Grids. It's not assignable. System collections generic dictionary, vector 4i tile. It's not assignable to system collections dictionary. Oh, vector 3i. What? Oh, I just wrote it wrong. There we go. And then up here, we got to fix the signature here. We got to say tiles. So we'll pass in tiles here, and then when we do this one, we pass in grids. And that should work? Question mark? It's still complaining about a couple things. 2 errors. Where are you? Show me what you got. Oh, they're way down here. What's going on here? Oh, I see. Files. Okay, 1 error. Where is it? Oh, way at the top. Oh, are you down in here? Yeah, you are. I should just get rid of... Sometimes I keep around alternative code that I am not using for way longer than I need to. Like, I have this version of the tile map data update, whereas like right now we're updating tile map data entirely, and I have a version of this that just updates tile map data changes only. Doesn't quite work right though, so I've like not bothered to use it. And now I've probably changed this function enough that I like can't use this one. I should probably just start over and rewrite that when I'm ready to, but maybe I just comment it out so that I can use it when I want, or I can refer back to it when I want. Where does this function end? Right here. All right, let us see. Now, what are you going to complain about? Nothing so far. What if I try to do this? Oh, it kind of works. Oh, it kind of works. Let's do that again. Actually, the part that I wrote just now works 100%, but there's it's showcasing a bug somewhere else that I need to address. So we can draw tiles, and then we can select those tiles. And I see a little bit of an issue, but it's probably very manageable. What if I start throwing even more stuff here, and then I do this again? All right, okay, it kind of works. It's not quite right. Especially when you consider the auto tiling. Oh, it is helping with the cutaway though. You can kind of tell the cutaway. Ooh, that's kind of fancy. Maybe I do kind of like this as an overlay, because it lets you do some additional stuff with the cutaway. Okay. We're getting there, we're getting there. This isn't right, but we can fix it. What we need to do, we need to fix this thing in the corner here, and we need to fix some drawing stuff. But this is like ostensibly what we want. Small victories, they stack. Yep, you just need a bunch of small victories, and then you got yourself a big victory. Oh, so I need to clean up the selection stuff a little bit, because right now they just stick around. They don't erase, so it's just additive. Oh, and I understand why the black marking is sticking around as well. That we need to do something about. Although maybe not. Maybe it helps you tell the characteristic of something. I have some ideas for this, but we're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're on our way. That's really nice. That's what I wanted to do today, and we did it. Huzzah, you tuned out for a while, but came back to check in at the perfect time. Feels a lot more intuitive than the previous selection box. Yeah. The only unintuitive parts is like how you might select blank space and it doesn't show you the blank space, but it shouldn't matter that you selected blank space. Woo! All right. That's what I wanted to do. I know we've only been live for a couple hours, but this is probably about where I need to end it. We'll be back tomorrow though, and we will fix the small issues with this, because there's a couple issues. One is that the corner is being cut off when you lay this out sometimes. So yeah, and that has to do with the mouse hover commands. I actually I understand what's happening there. There's a little, this is wrong, this little dark gray line here. So there's something happening at the bottom corner that we need to deal with. There's also something happening here. Oh, okay, I see one problem right now, which is easy. It's easy to fix. But yeah, we'll probably keep working on this tomorrow. I'm very pleased with what's up with it. I'm gonna obliterate our older versions of this stuff. It's gonna be one of those commits where I delete like 1,000 lines of code. It's gonna feel good. Gonna feel great. And don't worry, we've got it in the previous commit, so we're not really losing anything. I need to clean. It's spring. It's time for some spring cleaning here. Let's get that out of there. Let's get this crap out of here. The old way we were doing this was so janky. Yeah, having it try to draw its own like white outline box versus just shading the existing auto tile this is so much better. All right, we deleted like 500 lines of code. That makes me feel good. And the resulting function here is actually quite small. And it relies on work we're doing earlier in the pipeline, which is great because we can just fork it different ways. If we want to have it be like the play mode, we could have a different version of this function that only outlines interactables and not, the surrounding environment. Actually, we probably won't do that here, but so here I see a problem, which is this select. We want select and something else. So we want to know So for this, we want to know, is this select and pause? Oh, here, we can do it in here. We can say select for block.forms.deck.x or deck. Let's see if this works. We'll do the same thing here. We'll see if this changes one thing I spotted, which was an issue. Thanks, Rayson. Yeah, this has been good. This has been a good day. We can only really stream. I try to stream for more like 3 hours when I have time. I had to start a little late today and end a little late, or end a little early, so we're not doing it today, but it's really all about the small wins for us. So we really don't have time to write a whole thing in just a couple hours, 2-3 hours. But yeah, like Skywalk said, the small victories, they stack. Which I think is that works on multiple levels and is quite funny. So if I get to the edge here and I go past it, that is not how I want this to work. Oh, maybe it's being overwritten by the Z level stuff. All right, let's add the same check there then. We're just gonna add this additional check here. We're gonna check for a select and a deck here. And if this works, we got some better outlining stuff. Skywalk, your emote game is great. Are these your emotes? These are great. They look like yours. Oh, you stream. I'm gonna hit you with that follow. Your emotes are great. All right, so when I go here, we got this white outline, and when I extend past it, okay, we still got it. Love it. Love to see it. What if I have another block set here and I do the outline like this? Yeah, okay. All right, so I fixed one little issue right now. There's this gray line thing. I'm a little curious about what's happening here, but we're going to dig into that tomorrow. But yeah, this is the direction. Look at this. We can span across. We can select across multiple blocks like this, including a gap. Oh, and then when I try to place a block within that selection, it adds it to it. Ooh, yeah, this is the way. I think this approach is the money approach to handle this kind of overlay stuff. Because we could do all sorts of stuff like this. We could do targeting. We could say this area is about to be bombarded or something, or flooded with something. We can do all sorts of stuff this way with overlays. That's the money right there. Oh, that's a weird artifact, how that works. All right, very pleased. Couple minor issues, we'll address them tomorrow. Very pleased with what we've done today. Very pleased with the stream today in general. Thank you, everyone. We had a bunch of new faces today. Appreciate everyone new who came out, hung out with us this afternoon. Your emotes are awesome. None of these emotes are so-so. These are incredible. GG. All right, let's see if there's someone we can raid into. Pay it forward. It looks like Otter just started streaming. That's probably where we're gonna go. That's a teammate of ours. Oh no, they didn't just start. They've been going. Oh, they're drawing. All right, yeah, let's go hang out with Otter Make Games. And then we'll pick this up tomorrow. I never get their name right. It's Otter Make Games. All right, we'll pay it forward. Ship them if you got them. Otherwise, just hit them with whatever you got. I love that you got the Jeremiah Johnson little nod meme picture. That rig is a bad egg. Oh yeah, that reminds me. I should probably time out rig. One bad egg. Digital Iliad timed out rig for 1 second. Reason bad egg. All right. We're going to launch this raid. Everybody get in here. I'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully a little earlier. We'll start a little earlier. We'll go a little later. Thank you all again for your time today. I wish you all have a great rest of your day. And I'll see you again sometime.